Welcome back to A Nation of Sleepers. Let's start by asking a question. What holds the nation together? Is it the government? Is it laws? Is it money? No. None of these things last if a foundation crumbles. And the foundation of any strong nation, any strong civilization, is the family. Strong men, strong women raising strong children. That's how communities are built. That's how nations are defended. That's how cultures are passed down from generation to generation. And here's the truth that nobody dares to say. When you want to destroy a people, you don't need to invade, you don't need to bomb the cities, you don't even need to bankrupt them. All you have to do is break the family. Because if you destroy the family, the nation collapses from within. Look around today. Masculinity itself is under attack. Hear the phrase everywhere, toxic masculinity. What does that mean? It means that men are dangerous simply for being men. It means that if you are strong, if you are assertive, if you are protective, you are a threat. Think about how fathers are shown in films and sitcoms. Always the idiot. Always the useless dad that can't change a nappy, can't cook a meal, can't make a decision without mum swooping in to save the day. That's not an accident. It's programming. It's telling boys growing up, don't be like him. Being a man is shameful. And in schools, exactly the same thing. Boys are naturally energetic, they're loud, adventurous, physical. But instead of teaching them discipline and purpose, what do? We drug them. We stick them on Ritalin, we tell them, sit still, shut up, conform. According to NHS statistics, prescriptions for ADHD meds have more than doubled in the last 15 years. We're medicating the masculinity out of our boys. Yet a society without strong men, it can't defend itself. If you strip men of strength, you strip them of courage too, and you've already conquered them. Now let's talk about feminism. Before anyone twists my words, let's get this clear. The fight for women's rights in the beginning was fair. The right to vote, the right to education, the right to dignity. Of course it was. But what happened next? Feminism was hijacked. It stopped being about fairness and it became a weapon. A weapon to pit women against men. A weapon to tear apart the family unit. Women were told, you don't need a man, you don't need a family, you need a career. And while the women were being pulled back into the workplace, who's raising the children? Not the parents, the state, schools, babysitters. Let me give you a personal memory of this. When I was at primary school, me and my brother, we were the only kids with divorced parents, the only ones. That was 35 years ago. Today, around 40% of kids in the UK are growing up in broken homes. Nearly half a generation without the stability of mum and dad being together. That's not progress, that's collapse. And what comes with that? It's this rise in blended families, step-parents, half-siblings, new partners in and out of the house. 2019 study from the Oxford University said that children in blended families were more statistically likely to experience emotional behavioural difficulties than children in stable two-parent households. Too often, blended families come with divided loyalties and instability. Kids never know whether they're coming or going or who they really belong to. It's not healthy. It's a symptom of a broken system. And I'll be honest with you, my mum was a single mum. She raised us whilst also building a successful career, and I will always respect her for that. She didn't do it out of choice, she did it out of necessity. But let me tell you the reality. The knock-on effects, they were very clear. She was at work and she wasn't with us. I'd be left with babysitters, or out with my mates, and she did the very best that she could. And the system forced her to do that. But today, millions and millions of mums are in the exact same boat. Society's applauding them all, saying, look at that strong, independent woman. But what about the children? Who's raising them, guiding them, protecting them? And when the state replaces the father and the boss replaces the mother, the child is left alone, but that's exactly what they want. By the time that I hit my teenage years, this attack on the roles was like everywhere. Do you remember in the 90s there was that like ladette culture with Sarah Cox and Zoe Ball? Women acting like blokes, drinking, swearing, stumbling out of clubs. And then you got the Spice Girls with their slogan, girl power. On the surface, it all looks harmless, fun, right? But if you look a little bit deeper, it was all designed to alter the balance, turn men into these soy boys, shamed of strength, women into hard-nosed careerists sneering at family, and the results? Well, families fell apart, the natural order was turned upside down. Here's the absolute kicker though. You know who else deliberately undermined the family to ensure the primacy of the state? The Nazis. Most people think the Nazis were pro-family because of all the propaganda about motherhood and children, but the reality was quite different. Historians like Claudia Koons have focused on this fact that the regime saw the family unit as a rival for loyalty. Hitler Youth leaders were even saying, your children belongs to us already. What are you? You're going to pass away, but your child stands in this new camp. Soon he will know nothing but this new community. That's chilling, isn't it? The message was clear. Parents might think they raised the children, but in reality the state owned them. They pushed the mothers to breed, then they had to hand their children over to the Hitler Youth. They pushed the fathers to serve the Reich, not their own households. Marriage and family life were tolerated only if they served the regime. Anything that got in the way of absolute loyalty to the state had to be broken down. And that's exactly what's happening today. Different slogans, different faces, but the same playbook. The modern state wants your children loyal to it, not to you. Look at what's happening in Britain right now. Free speech is being eroded at a rapid rate. Universities and media platforms are silencing dissenting voices. Two-tier policing exists. One rule for protesters the government supports, another for those it doesn't. Propaganda units are embedded in Whitehall, feeding narratives to the public. Does it sound familiar? It's history repeating itself. And while all that happens at the top, the collapse of fatherhood is happening at the bottom. Boys are growing up without dads. Girls are growing up without knowing what a good man looks like. And the cycle is repeating to destruction. Here's the bottom line. Without strong men, without strong women, without strong families, a nation falls. The destruction of the family isn't an accident. It's deliberate. It's a strategy. A nation of fatherless children, of distracted mothers, of weak men and confused roles. That's not a nation anymore. It's a herd waiting to be controlled. And here's something that we do not talk about enough. The destruction of trust between men and the wider community. For generations, boys were raised not just by their fathers, but by a tribe of men. Scout leaders, Sunday school teachers, sports coaches, uncles, neighbours. That network built strong, independent men. It kept boys on a straight path. It showed girls what honourable men look like. Today, men have just been painted as predators. We're told, don't trust them, they're dangerous, they're abusers waiting to happen. So the tribe collapses, the parents are told to keep the children away from the very people who used to strengthen them. And I'm not talking about all the Rotherham scandal and everything here. I'm talking about, the traditional roles of males. Ordinary fathers, ordinary coaches, mentors who built generations of character. But from a system now that's actively grooming our kids with propaganda, ideology and confusion, it is gone. And that's why the family must rise again. That's why men must reclaim their honour. Because no government, no institution, no school and no screen will ever protect our children like we can when we stand as one. So the question is simple. Will we rebuild the tribe? Will we restore trust and raise the next generation to be strong? Or will we surrender our children to a system that wants to own them? The choice is ours, and it starts right now.